Chloe Miller and Ethan Vance had an arranged marriage between prominent families. Before the wedding, I coolly declared we'd each live our own lives, no interference. But after we were married, I got exposed on my Twitter alt account for being incredibly jealous. In an instant, the tough girl image I'd worked so hard to maintain completely shattered. I had no choice but to run back to my hometown overnight. But he followed me to my family home. Ethan Vance, explain yourself? I stammered. I lost a game, and this was the truth or dare consequence. Do you believe me? After Ethan Vance's gossip/scandal blew up online, I threw the divorce papers and paparazzi photos onto his office desk. Divorce. He didn't pause his action of flipping through documents, merely glanced at them, and said coolly, "Is that all? Is that all?" In the photo, two people wearing masks and sunglasses emerged from a Rolls-Royce one after another, both walking into an apartment complex. And while the Rolls-Royce was pixelated, I recognized it instantly. It was Ethan Vance's car. I was completely humiliated/made a fool of. And you ask, is that all? Well, I guess. After all, I was the one who said we wouldn't interfere with each other before we got married. But who could blame me? The woman in the photo was my arch-rival/nemesis. Ethan Vance and I had an arranged marriage between prominent families. I chose him because my dad and his dad were old army buddies. To strengthen ties between families, they arranged our marriage with a single decision. Honestly, I refused at first. But my dad threatened that if I didn't agree, I wouldn't be allowed in the entertainment industry anymore. I'd have to go home and inherit the family business. The family business meant managing the family's manufacturing business. Seriously, me? A young, beautiful girl? Was that even appropriate? Ethan's company is involved in the entertainment industry. I'll feel better knowing he's looking out for you. Dad, I don't need, click. My dad hung up the phone without another word. But later, I still agreed. Because after my assistant, Lily, did some digging for me, she found out that the reason Ethan Vance, nearing 30, wasn't married was because he had a first love/the one who got away in his heart. She dumped him in college, but he still thought of her constantly and had remained devoted/stayed single ever since. Perfect. So he was forced into this, too. If that was the case, I could relax. Marriage in name only, no feelings involved. When I was done playing around, it would be easy enough to separate. The day before the wedding, I specifically drafted a prenuptial agreement and threw it at him. We'd each live our own lives, no interference. He was non-committal. As expected, married life was no different from when I was single. I spent most of my time on film sets, so we barely saw each other. Apart from occasionally putting on a show for our parents, we were practically familiar strangers. Everything was going well until Ethan Vance's first love/the one who got away turned out to be my arch-rival/nemesis, Isabel Roberts. Because I couldn't imagine anyone else having the power to expose him to public opinion unless Ethan Vance himself allowed it. And Isabel Roberts was an artist under his company, which seemed to explain everything. From unrequited love in the past to finally getting the girl now. I, on the other hand, had become the villainous second female lead/the evil other woman hindering them. Saying I was villainous wasn't too far off. Isabel Roberts and I were already in a fierce rivalry/constant conflict. Other actresses might dislike each other, but still put on a show in public. We couldn't even bother to pretend. Today, you outshine me with a press release. Tomorrow, I'll steal your roles/undermine your career. Today you slander me/spread rumors about me. Tomorrow I'll dig up dirt on you/leak your scandals. In short, it was pure tit for tat. Just a few days ago, her fans trashed me on social media/made me trend by attacking me because I was closer to the center spot/prime position than her at an awards ceremony. They called me a scheming bitch, snob. Thinking of this, I gritted my teeth. Even if he had a face as handsome as a movie star. Too bad he was blind. To like an innocent little flower/naive sweetheart like Isabel Roberts. Honestly, I felt a little pissed. What, don't want the divorce? Mr. Vance, you aren't going to miss me, are you? I said, speaking sarcastically. He closed the file, leaned back, and raised an eyebrow slightly. What if I said yes? Damn it. Yeah, right. He didn't like me at all. Who are you trying to provoke by saying that? Too bad then. I don't like your type, Mr. Vance. I prefer someone younger, more energetic, in good shape, and especially, with good eyesight. I emphasized the last few words. He chuckled softly, unperturbed. Oh? This was the first time I had challenged him. Normally, we treated each other politely/kept a respectful distance. I had never seen him angry. But my gut told me that even though he was still smiling, I could sense a hint of danger. But I was getting a divorce anyway, what was I afraid of? I stiffened my neck, ready to say something else. Just then, the office door opened from the outside. Mr. Vance, Manager Dong is here. Ethan Vance's secretary, Shawan, came to call him. Only a few people close to us knew about our secret marriage, and Shawan was one of them. Ethan Vance quickly returned to his usual indifferent demeanor. I need to go to a meeting now. He stood up, slowly putting on his jacket as he asked. I'll wait for you here. I plopped down opposite him on the leather sofa, interrupting him seriously. Waiting to go home? That would mean waiting until he finished work. Besides, how long could a meeting possibly last? He said indifferently. Suit yourself. In the end, I overestimated my patience. After sitting in the office for an hour, I was utterly bored. I picked up my bag and decided to leave. Forget it, doesn't matter for a bit. Unexpectedly, just as I walked out of the office, I ran into Isabel Roberts stepping out of the elevator. Shit. It was too late to go back into the office. I quickly turned around, fumbled in my bag, and put on my sunglasses and mask. I absolutely wouldn't give her any chance to mock me. After getting ready, I pretended to be casual, secretly inching towards the fire escape on the other side. Before I had taken 2 steps, Chloe. Isabel Roberts' voice came from behind me. Damn it, she was my arch-rival/nemesis of 2 years. Even though I was so covered up, she still recognized me at a glance. I stopped in my tracks, gave myself a quick pep talk, and turned around. What do you want? I retorted fiercely, bracing myself for her mockery. But to my surprise, she just looked at me suspiciously. What are you doing at our company, and in Mr. Vance's area? She looked wary. You know each other? What did she mean? Ethan Vance hadn't told her he was married? He loves her so much, I could just cry. I adjusted my sunglasses and said seriously, of course we know each other. Not only that, but your Mr. Vance owes me 100 million. Maybe you can ask him when he plans to pay me back. He's dragging his feet, it's so annoying. In the end, I couldn't help but curse a little. Just as I finished speaking, Isabel Roberts suddenly looked behind me and called out, Mr. Vance. Me? Why should I feel guilty? I don't. He walked up, glanced at me indifferently. When did I owe you that much money? Given the circumstances, I couldn't directly confront her. I could only mutter softly, it's in the agreement, property division. You owe me 100 million. He didn't hear me. I said, I'm leaving now. You two chat. I didn't want to be caught between them while they were being lovey-dovey. He nodded, not trying to stop me. As I reached the elevator, on impulse, I looked back. Well, would you look at that? The two of them were already inside the office. Ethan Vance didn't come back that night. Lying in bed watching a comedy show, I still felt a tightness in my chest. Finally, I couldn't help but vent on my Twitter alt account. Guys, does anyone understand? After marrying my husband, I found out my arch-rival/nemesis is his first love/the one who got away years ago. Exaggerated cry emoji. Seriously, what should I do now to look both cool and come out on top? Waiting online, urgent. Remove emoji description. After pouring out my frustrations, I finally felt a little better. I put down my phone, played some games, and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, I was woken up by my agent's call. Chloe, what happened? Your alt account got exposed/got doxed. What is it, Sarah? I rubbed my eyes, still half asleep. Stop sleeping. Go check Twitter yourself. Now netizens are calling it a publicity stunt/trying to create buzz, and criticizing you for keeping her marriage secret. After hanging up, my brain slowly caught up. I shot up out of bed. Holy shit/what the hell? My alt account got exposed/doxed? I quickly opened Twitter. Chloe Miller got married? If I'm not mistaken, the arch-rival/nemesis Chloe Miller is talking about is Isabel Roberts, right? Probably. Didn't Isabel Roberts and some mysterious guy supposedly get exposed for a relationship and trend a few days ago? She said she's his first love/the one who got away. What else does she want to show off? Does she have to compete with our Isabel and everything? LOL, she can't even compare. Exactly. She got shut down, huh? Her husband doesn't even love her. Are you upstairs, idiots? Look carefully, our Chloe is the original wife. Is this just Chloe using it as a publicity stunt/trying to create buzz again? Watching the drama emoji. Am I the only one who cares that Chloe Miller said she was single recently and is now getting proven wrong? I felt faint/seeing red reading it all. I posted it on my alt account, and you still managed to dig it up? And not only did you dig it up, but you're also cursing me? I'm tired. Just give up / I'm done. I switched back to the messaging app, intending to call Sarah back. But Isabel Roberts's call came in / started ringing. I decisively tapped decline. To my surprise, after I hung up, she kept calling nonstop. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Go ahead and laugh if you want. You win, okay? She paused for a second. What are you talking about? Then, remembering her real reason for calling me, she started yelling at me / gave me an earful. Chloe Miller, I just asked Ethan Thompson, he doesn't even know you, and he's not married. What do you mean by this? Now it was my turn to be confused. Ethan Thompson? Who's Ethan Thompson? What was she talking about? He doesn't know me? Then why did you post those things? And you're saying you didn't do it on purpose? Now my boyfriend is starting to suspect I'm having an affair. Chloe Miller, I'll say it again, I haven't provoked you lately. What's with your sudden crazy behavior? Wait. We were talking past each other / talking at cross purposes for a bit, and I summarized it like this: you have a boyfriend? And his name is Ethan Thompson? The woman who had just been spitting fire suddenly got a little shy / fidgeted. I'm not planning to go public yet. She paused for a second, then started yelling at me again. But that doesn't give you the right to hurt me. Anyway, you better apologize and explain yourself on Twitter right now, or I'll leak our recording. With that, she slammed down the phone / hung up fiercely. Could it be that I completely misunderstood everything? Seriously. But that car belonged to Ethan Vance, and the figure was distinctly his. Did I recognize him incorrectly? To prevent things from getting worse / escalating, I didn't have time to think, and quickly switched back to my main account. Just to explain, that was something I had to do for Truth or Dare after losing a game yesterday. It's not true, everyone, don't believe it. After posting, I stared at the comments. There were still comments speaking sarcastically / making passive-aggressive remarks and cursing me, but most people were saying I was deliberately trying to create buzz. Casual observers / the general public online who were watching the drama had also moved on. I sighed in relief. Thank goodness, it didn't turn into a huge mess. At most, I'd get some criticism. As long as they didn't dig up any other information, it was fine. Sarah called right away. What on earth happened? I sighed, ready to explain everything that had happened in the past couple of days and the new information I'd just gotten. But as I was talking, I suddenly realized, since my alt account got exposed / doxed and trended, Ethan Vance must have seen my tweet. I had been so busy dealing with the netizens, I forgot that point / this. Thinking of this, Sarah. I suddenly shouted her name, jumped out of bed, and rushed straight to the wardrobe / closet. I need to crash at your place for a few days, I said, grabbing some clothes and throwing them on the bed. I had just finished filming a show, so I would be home for about half a month, which meant Ethan Vance and I would be under the same roof for that long. It would have been fine before, but now, just until I start filming my next project. Huh? What's suddenly wrong? She was still processing and hadn't caught on. Well, I quickly explained my concerns in a few words. Sarah seemed to choke. But you're married. What's the big deal? Of course, there was a big deal. Before the wedding, I was the one who proposed no interference, looking all free-spirited and casual, completely uninterested in him. But secretly, I was getting jealous because he was supposedly with another woman, throwing a fit about divorce, and whining online. Even though that woman was my arch-rival / nemesis. In his eyes, I was just a hypocrite, saying one thing but meaning another. Pretending not to care, but caring desperately. Maybe he'd even think I was madly in love with him. I sighed deeply, thinking how Chloe Miller, who had had her way / been wild for 22 years, had never encountered such a Waterloo / crushing defeat. I'm a strong woman who refuses to sit and wait / do nothing at a time like this. I huffed. Well, you know we don't have feelings for each other and aren't close. No way. They say love grows over time. All this time, you two have just been sleeping next to each other / keeping it strictly platonic? Sarah exclaimed, shocked. Me? Watch what you say. I'm still a pure, innocent girl, don't lead me astray. I warned her in a low voice. Her words were too vivid, making my face feel a little hot. Did I guess right? Chloe Miller, what are you thinking? Your husband is stunningly handsome, and you managed to resist? Sarah gasped. Oh, is he? He's just okay, I guess. I pretended to be indifferent. The first time I saw him, I felt that even if my dad hadn't forced me, I would have been willing. I admit, I had a little crush on him at first. But after I heard he had a first love / the one who got away in his heart, I forced myself to pull back in time / stopped myself. In the end, I couldn't go to Sarah's place because her boyfriend was over. Helpless, I had to drag my suitcase back to my family home. Where's Ethan? Dad opened the door, peering behind me. Didn't he come with you? Dad, can't I come home by myself? I was speechless. I didn't know what spell he cast on him / what charm he used on him, but even though they'd only met a few times, my dad seemed to like Ethan Vance so much. Dad was just worried about you. My dad took the suitcase with a chuckle, but his eyes held a meaningful look / veiled look. After returning to my room, I lay in bed and just opened my phone when I saw a message Ethan Vance had sent me hours ago. Where did you go? My heart skipped a beat, but then I immediately sighed in relief. What was I scared of? I wasn't home anymore. I quickly and guiltily tapped delete. As long as I didn't see it, he didn't exist. Over the next few days, Ethan Vance didn't contact me again. Well, we were only married in name anyway. If I didn't contact him, he naturally wouldn't push to find out why. As long as this period passed, I was sure we could return to the way things were before. With that thought, I started truly enjoying my break, living a life of enjoying a leisurely life / sleeping in late. Every day was just playing and sleeping. Days off work were simply too comfortable. If it weren't for my mom insisting I eat on time every day, I would have had my days and nights mixed up. That day, I shuffled in my slippers, rubbing my messy hair and yawning as I walked downstairs from the second floor as usual. Mom, what's for? The rest of my words were stuck in my throat. I saw Ethan Vance sitting upright on the sofa in the living room downstairs. He was wearing a white shirt and black pants, exuding an austere and cool aura / a reserved and distant air. But why was he here? What was he doing here? Before I could figure it out, the next second, Ethan Vance, who had been chatting happily with my dad, turned and looked over when he heard me. His gaze lingered on me for a few seconds, then he raised an eyebrow. You're awake? Come eat. My dad noticed me, too, waved, and stood up. It was only then, as if waking from a dream, that I looked down at my slippers and pajamas. Damn it, my polished actress image was in jeopardy. However, I managed to keep my face calmly nodded at Ethan Vance, and greeted him. You guys go ahead and eat. The next second, I turned around, screaming internally, and prepared to go upstairs to freshen up. But I had barely taken a step. It's fine, Ethan's family. No need to get dressed up. Come eat quickly. My mom ruthlessly exposed me. Mom, you are my mother. I could only turn back around, take a deep breath, and walk down the stairs, forcing a smile as I explained. I was just going to get my phone. After saying that, I peeked at Ethan Vance, who had a very faint smile on his lips. Oh. He didn't believe me. So annoying. I pouted / grimaced and plopped down opposite him. I didn't want to join their conversation at the table. I just focused on eating. Halfway through the meal, a glass of water was pushed into my view. Have some water. Don't choke. I looked up and met Ethan Vance's eyes, which held a slight smile. Was he doing that on purpose? My dad and mom watched us, exchanging satisfied smiles. In the end, I had no appetite / couldn't taste the food during the entire meal, constantly and was constantly distracted. Then, just as I came back to my senses, I heard my dad suggest that Ethan Vance stay the night. I panicked, put down my chopsticks, and quickly protested. He has something on. He can't stay tonight. I gave him a look. He understood, right? Normally at home, we slept in separate rooms, and even when we came to eat with the elders, we never stayed overnight. Because we'd have to share a room. No rush. I had some drinks today anyway, can't drive. He met my gaze calmly and replied slowly. What? Back in the room. Since I felt a little guilty, I decided to attack first. Why did you today? I was trying to figure out how to start. He leaned against the wall, smiling as he looked at me. Why don't you ask your dad? What did he mean? Did my dad ask him to come? I was temporarily relieved. But the next second, he spoke again. Why didn't you reply to my message the other day? Art immediately jumped. So he was here because of that? But it was fine. I was an actress. I forgot, I said calmly. He nodded. I get it. You had time to tweet, but no time to reply to my message. Hearing that, I couldn't help but blush a little. But I remained unfazed. I already explained that was for truth or dare. So, asking for a divorce that day was also for truth or dare, was it? Me? Yes, I gritted my teeth and swallowed my words, squeezing out the two syllables. I was going all out not to lose. He raised an eyebrow slightly. Ms. Miller, you certainly have interesting hobbies. True to form for an actress, quite the player. Excuse me? Was he mocking me? I'm nothing compared to Mr. Vance, whose scandal with his subordinate is known throughout the internet. I retorted, unwilling to be outdone. He didn't speak, just stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. When did I have a scandal with my subordinate? That car of yours is a global limited edition, the only one in the whole country. It's perfectly normal for people to misunderstand when you two came out of the same car. I defended myself. Yes, people here meant me. Didn't you just say it was a misunderstanding? But that man's figure looked very much like yours. It wasn't you? I asked suspiciously. He gave me a casual look. With so many people in the country, isn't it normal for people to have similar figures? He paused, his expression a little complicated. I also didn't expect that Ms. Miller wouldn't even recognize her husband. I was stunned. He was right. It was my fault for having bad eyesight. It was a little inappropriate not to recognize him. Just as I was thinking this. Wait. I was supposed to be in control of the conversation. How did I suddenly end up criticizing myself? This wouldn't do. Are you blaming me now? Why didn't you explain it to me earlier? I questioned him again with renewed force. What I meant to say was, if he had told me earlier, I wouldn't have made so many embarrassing mistakes. But the words came out, and I realized how plaintive/resentful my tone was. He didn't speak, just looked at me meaningfully. I stammered, trying to explain, but the more I rushed, the less coherent I became. Forget it. I'm going to take a shower. Make yourself at home. In the end, I fled. Back in the bathroom, I was vexed/annoyed while showering. How did things turn out like this? After showering for half an hour in regret, I suddenly discovered a critical problem. I forgot to bring my pajamas. But it wasn't my fault. Normally, I was alone, so I just came out wrapped in a towel after showering. But the key was that the bath towel wasn't here either. I think I carelessly left it on the clothes rack outside yesterday after using it. I deliberated for a long time, then finally pulled open the bathroom door and peeked out. I planned to discuss with him and ask him to step out first. But I saw him sitting on the sofa, reading a book. I squinted, focusing. It was the novel I was currently reading, The Wolf CEO's fierce pampering of his delicate wife. Madam, where are you running? Before dinner, I had just reached the part where the female lead tries to escape but is caught by the male lead. The female lead resists fiercely, and the male lead, enraged, ends up, ahem with her. Later, my mom called me for dinner, so I just tossed it on the table without even closing the book. I was planning to continue reading when I came back. Thinking of this, my voice went up an octave, and I bared my teeth. Stop it. Stop right there. Ah, if only I weren't completely naked/undressed right now, I would rush out immediately. He, however, acted like nothing was wrong and obediently closed the book. Get out first, I commanded him. He raised an eyebrow slightly, but didn't say anything. Just 2 minutes. I didn't bring my pajamas, I said, tenning up. After the social death moment just now, this was nothing. He stared at me, flailing awkwardly yet timidly, then stood up. Okay. I let out a breath. As soon as he was out, I rushed to the clothes rack and fumbled to get dressed. Just as I pulled on my top, I heard Aunt Mary asking Ethan Vance why he was standing outside. My heart jumped into my throat. To avoid trouble, I had to get dressed in under a minute. I quickly yanked the pajama bottoms from the rack in a hurry, but I didn't control my strength and pulled too hard. This caused the rack to lose its balance and fall towards me. Clang, the rack hit the floor. I hadn't even had time to scream. And I was pinned underneath it, covered in clothes. At that moment, the world fell silent. Hearing the noise, Ethan Vance opened the door just in time. Is Miss Chloe all right? Aunt Mary's concerned voice came from outside the door. She's fine. Ethan Vance slammed the door shut, walked quickly over, and moved the rack aside. He removed the clothes from me, his dark eyes fixed on me. Chloe Miller, did you hit anything? I had been about to struggle, but now I might as well pretend to have amnesia. I was too embarrassed. I pointed to my head. Hit my head. After a pause, I added, so I can't quite remember who you are right now. He, who had been checking on me, froze. Then he gave me a slow look. I'm your husband. Remember that. With that, he picked me up bridal style. My heart seemed to lift with my body as I was lifted off the ground. What are you talking about? Even if you saved me, you can't take advantage of me, can you? I continued pretending. His gaze swept downwards. Advantage? I felt a chill. Following his gaze down. Right, I hadn't put on my pants yet. My face instantly flushed. I quickly covered his eyes. Don't look. It was a bit like making it more obvious, because he must have seen everything already. He let out a soft, non-committal chuckle. Princess, if you cover my eyes, I don't think I can walk. Oh, right. I sheepishly released my hands, stammering my defense. Then keep your eyes to yourself. He didn't bother to argue further. After putting me on the bed, he went into the bathroom. It was then that I noticed a bruise on my right knee. But I didn't have time to worry about it. I realized another major problem. Where was he going to sleep? Ethan Vance walked out of the bathroom, drying his hair. He stopped when he saw the makeshift bed I had made for him on the floor, then slowly looked up at me, raising an eyebrow. I quietly pulled the blanket/duvet up another inch, only revealing my eyes. Originally, I was going to sleep on the floor, but since I'm injured, I'll have to inconvenience you. My words felt a little guilty for some reason. But I had a reason for doing this. The sofa was too small for him to sleep on. He definitely wouldn't want to sleep in the same bed as me. So one of us had to sleep on the floor. He was non-committal after listening. He walked over, turned off the main light, leaving only a small lamp on. Seeing me looking at him in confusion, he walked to the sofa, put his laptop on the square glass table. You go to sleep. I need to work for a bit. I slowly replied, okay, pulled back a corner of the blanket/duvet, and peeked at him in the warm yellow light. The computer's cool blue light reflected on his fair skin, highlighting his sharp, deep features. He was handsome. They say a man working is the most attractive. It was true. I tilted my head slightly, watching him, and eventually fell asleep in that position. In the middle of the night, I woke up feeling hot. Rubbing my eyes, I prepared to get out of bed for some water. But before I took 2 steps, bang! I tripped over something. Seeing myself about to fall face first, a scream was already about to tear from my throat. Just then, a pair of long, strong hands steadied my waist. Ah! I forgot. Ethan Vance, that living, breathing person, was sleeping on the floor. Soft moonlight spilled through the curtain. I was in a strange position, lying on his chest. In the dim light, I saw Ethan Vance open his eyes slightly, his brows furrowed. His cool sleeping face showed his annoyance at being disturbed. I'm sorry, I was getting some water. Go back to sleep, I quickly apologized. With that, I fumbled to stand up. Along with the rustle of fabric, a muffled groan suddenly sounded in my ear. Hiss. Realizing what I'd done. My hand felt as if it had been burned, and I immediately pulled it back. I didn't do it on purpose. I'll leave right away. This time I understood. I cautiously moved my hands and feet, avoiding any important areas I might touch. Just as I was about to succeed, a strong pull on my waist brought me back. I was back on his chest. Only this time, the distance was much closer than before. Almost nose to nose. The scent of lime-scented shower gel intertwined around us, making it impossible to tell whose body it came from. This intimacy made my heart pound strangely fast. Was he? What are you doing? I tried to suppress my irregular heartbeat and broke the awkward silence. What do you think? My voice was low, still husky from sleep. You've made it impossible for me to sleep at all. I opened my mouth. I'm sorry. I apologized instinctively. He chuckled softly, staring at me, and slowly spoke. I don't accept verbal apologies. Then, as if he thought of something else, he added, but maybe I can. What did he mean? He didn't speak, just slowly lowered his gaze. Staring at my lips, his Adam's apple bobbed. Can you kiss? His deep voice was incredibly alluring in the night. I admit my heart was pounding uncontrollably fast. But at that moment, I couldn't help but complain internally. What kind of stupid question was that? And who was he looking down on? So I lifted my chin and said confidently, of course I can. I'm an actress, it comes naturally. But before I could finish, he grabbed the back of my head and kissed me. MMPH. He was so unfair. Who told him to interrupt me? But he was quite good at kissing. As I was lost in thought, he pulled back slightly, his thumb brushing my lips. Comes naturally, huh? Can't even catch your breath? His voice held a faint smile. Ah, this guy. I bit his finger in embarrassment and anger, threatening him, shut up. Unexpectedly, instead of getting angry, his eyes fixed on me grew even deeper. And then things started to develop in an uncontrollable direction. For a moment, I panicked. But then I quickly thought, well, we're married anyway. Ethan Vance was so handsome and had abs. I wasn't losing anything. I might as well enjoy it. But then, it hurts, I gasped. His hand, which had been moving down, stopped. He got up, turned on the light, and looked at my knee. The bruise from the fall last night had gotten bigger. He rubbed his temples, standing there for a while to compose himself. Finally, he stood up. I'll get you some medicine. No, I don't like the smell of medicine, I said petulantly. He had no choice but to come back. Then he picked me up, put me on the bed, and tucked me into the blanket/duvet. I blinked. Huh? He tucked me in, then ran a hand through his hair. Go to sleep. I'm going to the bathroom. As soon as he finished speaking, my eyes uncontrollably glanced down, then quickly snapped back up. Remembering what I had just seen, I looked away, my gaze flickering, and mumbled, "Oh, okay." As soon as he left, I rolled around in bed, wrapped in the blanket/duvet. I slapped my burning face and buried it in the pillow. I didn't even realize the corners of my mouth were slightly turned up. I don't know when he came back later. Anyway, when I woke up the next day, the sun was already up. Ethan Vance was gone. He only left a note on the cabinet. Urgency. Company matter. Out of town for a few days. After that day, I rested at home for a few more days. Sarah called me, excited, to say that I had been cast as the supporting actress in director Miller's film, Looking Up, which I had auditioned for earlier. Really? I shot up from the lounge chair. You have to understand that director Miller's projects were always incredibly difficult to get into, especially for a role as significant as the supporting actress. This meant that if I succeeded in this role, it would be a huge help to my future career transformation. Therefore, I had done a lot of preparation before the audition, but I went in with a just trying attitude. After all, many senior actors were auditioning at the same time. So when this opportunity fell to me, I still found it a little unbelievable. Thus, the next day, I cheerfully dragged my suitcase to the film set. When I got there, I found Isabel Roberts was there too. She was playing the female lead's maid in the movie, a minor extra role. Since I arrived, her gaze had been glued to me. It was as if she had some kind of electric device installed, constantly shooting lasers at me. I understood. Who told her I was better than her? So, just as I sat down, she sauntered over to me. Her first words were sarcastic/passive-aggressive remarks. "Chloe Miller, you're quite something. Is this your first time hearing that? I've always been better than you." I took a slow sip of water. Honestly, seeing my arch-rival/nemesis put down felt good. Heh, you think you're something for being a mistress? Mistress? My hand stopped twisting the bottle cap. It took me a few seconds to process it. I pointed at myself. Are you calling me a mistress? Jealousy makes people unrecognizable, huh? She was already spreading rumors about me. She glanced at me contemptuously, with an expression that said, "Keep pretending." Last time I saw you coming out of Mr. Vance's office, I went back and thought about it. What you said then was an excuse. You've hooked up with our Mr. Vance, haven't you? I understood. She suspected I was Ethan Vance's mistress. Was there no possibility that Ethan Vance and I were legally married? I was genuinely baffled by her thought process. I couldn't help but add one more sentence. However, I knew she wouldn't believe me. After all, we would rather die than admit the other was better than ourselves. Any man who was interested in the other one must be blind. Plus, my background was very well hidden when I debuted. Indeed. Don't make me laugh. You? Don't tell me you think Mr. Vance gave you this movie role and you're starting to daydream? What did she mean? What does my getting this role have to do with Ethan Vance? Honestly, our skills are pretty equal. Your acting is just okay. If Mr. Vance wasn't the main investor in this movie, how could you get such an important role? And I'm an artist from Mr. Vance's company, yet I only managed to get a minor role. While she scanned me up and down with her eyes, her meaning clear. In her barrage of words, I was completely bewildered. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Isabel Roberts took it as confirmation that I was feeling guilty. She scoffed, having achieved her goal of seeing me look awkward, and stood up to leave. I advise you to keep a low profile from now on, or you know what will happen. I won't let such a good handle on you go to waste. I finally came to my senses, stood up as well, crossed my arms, and smiled slightly at her. All right. Go ahead, if you're not afraid of your Mr. Vance freezing you out. She didn't expect me to be so arrogant, showing no shame about being a supposed mistress. She was speechless for a moment. But after a second, she resumed her haughty demeanor. Fine, I'll wait and see you fail. With that, she grabbed her small bag and walked away with a swagger. As soon as Isabel Roberts left, I messaged Sarah to ask what was going on. I don't know either. All I know is they sent us a message saying you got it. But seriously, I told you. Your husband is Ethan Vance. With Mr. Vance backing you, there's nothing you can't get in the future. I frowned. You're getting sidetracked. He and I are just married in name. Actually, after that day, I had wondered if he might like me a little. But a few days passed, and he never initiated contact with me once. Our relationship had returned to the polite distance we kept before. So I immediately snapped back to reality. I patted my face and told myself, we were adults, a married couple. A kiss was nothing. Perfectly normal. As I was thinking this, Sarah's message came through. Okay, fine. The opportunity is practically in your mouth, and you're telling me you're just married in name? Chloe Miller, did you even watch any of those romance dramas you were in? When a man is good to a woman, what do you think it's because of? I don't know, I replied, coming back to my senses and slowly typing. Stop pretending. I say we should just pack up and go work for Mr. Vance. Otherwise, you're using your own husband's resources to make money for Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson was my direct superior. Before, Ethan Vance and I had a no-interference arrangement. So even though we were married, I stayed with my original company. But now, I would rather have gotten this role based on my merit. Isabel Roberts's words did have some truth to them. I had mostly acted in romance dramas before. I was still a little unsure of myself. Was it really because of Ethan Vance? I opened Ethan Vance's messaging app, thought for 2 seconds, and sent, thank you. After a while, he replied, ? I added, for the movie. Don't overthink it. Just focus on filming. So it was him. After confirming and remembering what Sarah had said earlier, my mood for the rest of the day was filled with a strange joy. But this mood was Brock. And a few days later when a female screenwriter joined the film set. After a brief self-introduction, she asked to speak to me alone. You're Chloe Miller, right? I've heard so much about you. Hello, I'm Ethan's college classmate. I was in the US when you got married and couldn't make it. I'm very sorry. She extended her hand to me. Dressed in a dark green dress, smiling slightly, she seemed elegant and composed. But while she said sorry, her tone held no apology, only a sense of provocation. I frowned slightly but managed a polite smile. It's fine. She smiled gently and continued. I have to thank you and Ethan. That's how I was able to join director Chen's movie. You know, I just came back from overseas, and I'm not very familiar with the domestic market yet. If it weren't for him, my old classmate, helping me out, I wouldn't have been able to start working so quickly. Ethan this, Ethan that. Even if I were an idiot, I would have understood she was hinting that their relationship was anything but ordinary. But Ethan Vance usually didn't have any gossip/scandal. Was she an old college crush? I took a deep breath, about to reply, when her phone rang. The caller ID on the screen read, Ethan. The man who never called me initiated contact with the so-called college classmate sitting opposite me. I froze for a second. She smiled apologetically at me, answered the phone right in front of me, her voice instantly becoming incredibly gentle. Okay, want to have lunch together? I saw your wife. She's beautiful, she said, winking at me. Okay, I'll wait for your call then. I didn't hear what the other side said, but I knew the message I sent him a few days ago looked like a joke. She hung up and smiled at me, shaking her phone. It seemed intentional, because her phone background was an intimate photo with faces close together of her and Ethan Vance. From now on, we'll be working partners. Looking forward to working with you. I adjust. My expression instantly, maintaining a smile, and nodded at her without speaking. After Celeste Hayes left, my smile instantly dropped. My assistant, Lily, came over and stroked her chin thoughtfully. Chloe, I feel like the name Celeste Hayes sounds familiar. I stared straight ahead, feeling a little heavy-hearted. I didn't respond to her. Oh, I remember. Before, when you asked me to do a background check, I think the White Moonlight's name was Tang Tang. I slowly turned my head and looked at her. She nodded to herself. That's right, it was her. Chloe, let me show you the information I found back then, she said, taking out her phone and searching. No need, I don't want to see it, I stopped her quickly. I didn't know what I was trying to avoid. Lily said, okay, then after a few seconds, she suddenly remembered something and her voice became excited. But, doesn't matter. Anyway, we're not interested in Mr. Vance. It'll be easier to get a divorce later. I turned my head and stared at her again. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? She touched her face in confusion. Forget it. It's nothing. I sighed, tilting my head back. Lily was right. That's how we got married in the first place, wasn't it? So, what was I upset about? That night, we were filming a scene where the supporting actress is bullied and the male lead comes to the rescue. Unexpectedly, during the wirework descent, there was a small accident. I scraped my arm, which bled a little, but it wasn't serious. A bandage would do. Before Lily could get to me, my co-star, Noah Jenkins, walked over first. Ms. Miller, I'm sorry. I have a bandage here. Let me help you put it on. You got hurt because of me. He became a hit overnight after starring in a popular show in the last 2 years. He had a delicate face and was tall. He was usually gentle and mild-mannered, and very polite. I waved my hands repeatedly. It's okay, it's not serious. I can do it mice. LF. But despite my refusal, he tore open the bandage and applied it directly. It would have been awkward to refuse again at that point, so I was about to say thank you. Suddenly, there was a commotion from the crowd in the distance. The assistant director hurried up to welcome him. Mr. Vance, why are you here? Holding my arm, I turned my head and saw Ethan Vance getting out of the car, wearing a black, sharp overcoat. The dim light cast around him made him appear elegant and tall. After getting out of the car, his gaze swept over the crowd and the surroundings, finally landing on me. Our eyes met. I shifted my gaze subtly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him talking to the director with his head tilted, walking towards me with long strides. He must be here for Celeste Hayes. I felt a mix of emotions / couldn't pinpoint the feeling. Sure enough, the next second, I saw Celeste Hayes cheerfully run towards Ethan Vance, saying something affectionately. Ethan Vance ignored her completely and quickly came up to me, frowning. How did you get hurt? Before I could speak, Celeste Hayes also came over and answered for me first. Chloe Miller fell accidentally just now, but Noah Jenkins has already put a bandage on her. In the past, I would have exposed this childish trick. But now, there was no point anymore. Yeah, it's fine, just a minor injury, I replied in a low mood. Ethan Vance's frown deepened. Just as he was about to say something, the assistant director came over. Mr. Vance, do you know each other? My heart skipped a beat. I quickly changed the subject. Mr. Vance, do you have something going on? Go ahead and do what you need to do. I'm fine. He stared at me with his dark eyes for a moment, then said slowly, okay, I'll find you after my meeting ends. With that, the group followed him and left. Before I could even sigh in relief, Isabel Roberts appeared like a ghost, coming up to me and mocking me haughtily. Oh, you're us. Usually so aggressive / very aggressive, but now you can't even make a sound? Did you run into a love rival? Celeste Hayes is better than you. That's what a mistress is like, always unable to show her face. I didn't say anything. I wasn't in the mood to argue with her at all right now. I turned around, didn't even look at her, and went back to the hotel. Sitting in front of the makeup mirror, I opened my phone and found a message Ethan Vance had sent me an hour ago. When are you free? Want to have dinner together tonight? It was around the time Celeste Hayes answered his call. Was he looking for me? I turned off the screen and threw my phone onto the table. Feeling a wave of annoyance, I simply went to take a shower. When I came out of the bathroom, I heard the doorbell ring. I looked through the peephole. Noah Jenkins? I tied the belt and wrapped my hair, opening the door just a crack. What is it, Noah Jenkins? He rubbed his head and handed me a wallet. Ms. Miller, is this yours? I opened it and checked. It was indeed. When did I lose it? Thank you. I took it. No problem, as long as it's yours. I'll be going then. Unexpectedly, just 2 minutes after I closed the door, Noah Jenkins came back and knocked again. This time, his state was completely different from before. His pale face was unnaturally red, and his teeth were clenched, as if he were trying to endure something. I was startled for a second and quickly reacted. Noah Jenkins, what's wrong? Ms. Miller, could you please help me? I think I've been drugged, and there are paparazzi outside. I can't leave like this. He spoke with difficulty. Drugged? My brain raced. Logically, I shouldn't get involved in this, especially with paparazzi outside. And we weren't very close. I couldn't imagine the consequences if we were photographed. But emotionally, he had just helped me. In the 2 seconds I hesitated, Noah Jenkins rushed straight in, heading for the bathroom, and turned on the cold water. Given the situation, I didn't have time to think further. I quickly closed the door and called Lily, explaining the situation. After hanging up, I bit my nails, pacing back and forth. Finally, I went over and knocked on the bathroom door. Noah Jenkins, what's your assistant's number? I'll call them. That way, they can take care of you easily. Just as I finished speaking, the doorbell rang. I thought it was Lily and quickly opened the door. But to my surprise, the person standing outside was Ethan Vance. He stood tall and imposing, his back to the dim hallway light, casting a shadow over me. You opened so fast. Were you waiting for me? He hooked his lips. I opened my mouth. Why did you finish so quickly? Ethan Vance stood with one hand in his pocket, the other twirling a metal lighter. He was about to say something. Just then, Noah Jenkins's slightly hoarse voice came from the bathroom. "Ms. Miller." Ethan Vance's expression froze. His gaze shifted towards the bathroom. A body full of male hormones was faintly visible through the frosted glass, sparking imagination. It was over. I quickly explained. Things aren't what they look like." Ethan Vance withdrew his gaze, a cold smile slowly forming on his lips. He cut me off. "So I interrupted you, did I?" The metal lighter clicked shut, a crisp sound indicating its owner's displeasure. "He's just my colleague. He's like this because something happened, and it happened right outside my room. I've already contacted Lily and was about to," I continued to patiently explain. "Oh, just a colleague? A colleague close enough to use the bathroom alone together in your room? Or a regular colleague who insisted on putting a bandage on you despite your refusal tonight?" He was still smiling as he spoke, but his face was extremely cold. His tone was indifferent. I opened my mouth. "What do you mean?" He stopped talking, his smile vanished, and he stared at me coldly. His silence said it all. "Fine, think whatever you want. If you want a divorce, just let me know." I didn't want to say anything else. I was upset too. I didn't even question him about Celeste Hayes. Why did he refuse to listen to my explanation and keep accusing me? He spoke slowly, his voice heavy. "You want a divorce that badly?" I didn't say anything. I was getting emotional/heated right now and didn't want to deal with him. Just then, Noah Jenkins's suppressed panting came from the bathroom again. "Me?" My scalp tingled/felt my stomach drop. But in Ethan Vance's eyes, I was showing signs of guilt. His face was gloomy, and he slowly revealed a sarcastic smile. "Okay, I understand." He glanced at me coldly, then turned and left. I opened my mouth, hesitating to pull him back and explain, but then I thought of Celeste Hayes. I swallowed the words again. I glared at his retreating, annoyed. But something felt blocked in my heart. Sour and suffocated. Just as I thought we were going to part ways tonight, Ethan Vance, who had already walked a few steps, suddenly stopped. I saw him make a phone call. A moment later, he turned and came back. He walked up to me, pursed his lips, and without a word, picked me up bridal style and walked in another direction. I gasped in surprise. I was stunned. "What are you doing? Even if you want to be with someone else, you should wait until after we're divorced. Doing this right under my nose? Acting as if I don't exist?" His expression was cold, and he seemed completely calm. But from my angle, I could see his tense jawline. He seemed to be trying hard to suppress something. Suddenly, I stopped caring so much. "If we get divorced, you and Celeste Hayes can be together, right?" My tone was unabashedly jealous. "Anyway, you only invested in this movie for her. I was such an idiot, I even said thank you to you." The more I spoke, the more wronged I felt. "Give me back the thank you I said to you." He stopped, lowered his head, and looked at me for a moment, then slowly spoke. "What did you say? Still pretending?" Was he feeling guilty? I felt even more uncomfortable. I kicked my legs. "This is fine too. We agreed before, don't move," he commanded in a low voice. "You're yelling at me?" I felt even more wronged. A vein pulsed in his forehead. He glanced at a camera. "Are you sure you want to talk about this here?" He reminded me. I had been so caught up in being angry. I completely forgot the golden rule for actresses. Always watch your image when you're outside. Thinking of this, I immediately backed down/ceased hostilities. Obediently shut up. After thinking for a bit, I buried my head in his shoulder. Soon, in about a minute, he brought me to his room. A luxurious suite. As soon as he closed the door, I jumped off him. He turned on the light and loosened his tie, but the warm yellow light didn't soften the coldness in his eyes. "What gave you the impression that I invested in this movie for Celeste Hayes?" His voice was low. When he wasn't smiling, he was intimidating. But I wasn't afraid of him anymore. "She told me. She said thanks to you, she got her first job right after coming back from the US, and that you were college classmates, and she even knew we got married. We had a secret marriage. Apart from a few people close to us, no one knew. Celeste Hayes was in the US at the time, who would have told her?" He frowned, then took out his phone and made a call. What was he doing? After a brief ringing, Ethan Vance spoke in a cold voice. "You're sticking your hands into too many things. Arranging for your niece, Celeste Hayes, to be around me? Does Dad know?" A woman's voice on the other end was calm. "Ethan Vance, what are you talking about? You're misunderstanding me, dear. Celeste Hayes just came back to the country. I just thought since you two had a good relationship before, you could look out for each other." I recognized the voice. It was Ethan Vance's stepmother. When I met her before, she seemed gentle and kind, but I hadn't expected her to secretly try to set up Celeste Hayes and Ethan Vance behind my back. Ethan Vance pulled off his tie, walking further into the room as he said indifferently, "Okay. A friend of the sterling heir, I think his name is Mr. Foster, is asking me to do something for him recently. It's quite significant. I'm having trouble making a decision myself. How about I bring him to meet Dad another day to discuss it?" Ethan Vance sat on the sofa, legs crossed, calm and composed. His stepmother instantly panicked. "Ethan Vance. We're family. Mr. Foster is like your uncle." Ethan Vance tapped his fingers on the sofa armrest, not speaking. His stepmother became completely anxious. "I was wrong about this. I won't meddle again. Just don't tell your dad about that matter." Ethan Vance glanced at me slightly. I nervously walked over and sat opposite him. He hung up the phone immediately. "You heard everything?" I nodded. So it was Ethan Vance's stepmother who was causing trouble. Were all the things Celeste Hayes said false? Some of the cotton balls that had been weighing on my heart dissipated. But I was about to ask something else. Just then, the doorbell rang. I stood up and opened the door. Ethan Vance's secretary, Shawan, came in. "Mr. Vance, we've looked into what happened tonight. Noah Jenkins." Shawan paused, glanced at me, then continued. "He was drugged, and it happened right outside Ms. Chloe's door. But it's being handled now, and we've already spoken to the paparazzi. Public opinion should turn around quickly." Ethan Vance's expression softened slightly after hearing this, but I was a little upset. What did he mean? He had Shawan investigate this specifically? "I explained it to you, and you didn't listen. What are you doing now?" I said, my tone unfriendly. He looked at me calmly and said seriously, "I do. And think I could have remained completely rational in that situation." He paused, then added, "Also, the purpose of investigating this was to better handle the sudden situation and minimize any potential harm to everyone involved." I stood there for a moment, composing myself. He was right. How could the great Mr. Vance accept being completely humiliated / made a fool of? But no matter what, this was him handling the aftermath for me. Okay, fine. I was being narrow-minded. I slowly sat down and took a sip of the tea/drink to cover up my awkwardness. He didn't pay me any more attention, turning to Shawan, "Did you find out who did it? According to surveillance, Miss Celeste is the most suspicious, but it's hard to find conclusive evidence." I looked up. Celeste Hayes? Why was it her again? After Shawan left, I put down the tea/drink. "Celeste Hayes isn't your ex-girlfriend, is she?" I said, following the train of thought. Mixed in were some ulterior motives/hidden agendas I hadn't even realized myself. He gave me a casual look. My heart started pounding. Otherwise, why would she frame me? "I didn't do anything to her," I said logically. "Are these two things necessarily related?" he countered. I straightened my back, suddenly energized. "Of course. I heard that you had a girlfriend in college, and after you broke up, you never recovered/remained depressed, and from then on, you worked hard to build your career. Women only slow you down. That woman was Celeste Hayes, right?" He chuckled in exasperation, a little speechless. "Where did you hear all this?" He didn't deny it. Was it true then? My years of watching dramas weren't wasted after all. I feigned a sigh to cover up. I was just probing. Did I guess right? Suppressing the sourness in my heart, I continued my train of thought. "Did she do something wrong to you that made your love turn into hate? And you're trying to heal the pain from his old love with a new relationship? Ignoring her on the surface, but caring deeply about her. You hate that she always approaches you through others, but you always can't help but." "Okay, shut up." He finally couldn't take it anymore. "She's not my ex-girlfriend, but she did stay at my place for a while, and we went to the same college. But actually, I'm not close to her." "Not close?" I perked up my ears and listened carefully. "Because sometimes we would take the same car to and from school, and over time, there were rumors. Understand?" He took a sip of tea/drink. "That's it? Where did the rumor about the first love/the one who got away come from, then?" "There was no one else." He looked at me as if he could read my mind. "No one else? Oh." I tried my best to control the corners of my mouth that couldn't help but turn up. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, he spoke again. "Anything else you want to ask?" I nodded subconsciously. Then, realizing, I shook my head. Did he mean that if I was done asking, I could leave? "Then I'll head back." I stood up. "Back? Are you sure?" He countered calmly, his legs crossed. What did he mean? "If you don't want stories written about us, you'd better stay in my room," he suggested seriously. Thinking about how dramatic/crazy tonight had been, He was right. Even though they had spoken to the paparazzi, someone with ulterior motives could always twist things. But if I stayed in the same room, my mind started involuntarily flashing back to what happened at my house last time. It's fine, I'll sleep with Lily, I said, avoiding his gaze. He stared at me for a while, but didn't say anything in the end. But in less than 10 minutes, I was back. He raised an eyebrow slightly. I stammered. Lily isn't in her room. She went out. Ethan Vance went to take a shower first. I sat on the sofa, feeling strangely uncomfortable just thinking about what might happen next. So when he came out of the bathroom, tying his belt, he saw me sitting there restlessly. He frowned slightly. What's wrong? Not feeling well? No. I denied it immediately. I'm going to take a shower too. I mumbled something incoherent and rushed into the bathroom. Then, while showering, I gave myself a pep talk. Why am I nervous? What's the big deal? It's not like I've never seen a man before. But when I turned around, I saw myself in the mirror with a silly smile on my face. Stop. What's with that look of anticipation? Ah? I immediately straightened my lips. Then I put on a serious expression. Finally, when I could face it calmly, and came out of the bathroom, I found Ethan Vance sitting on the sofa in the guest room, working. Something wrong? Realizing I was standing at the door, he slowly looked up from the screen and asked. Actually, I had waited for a long time after showering, and Ethan Vance hadn't come back, so my curiosity got the better of me. I was going to pretend to wander around casually and see where he went. But he had already thoughtfully gone to sleep in the guest room. So what I did before? It's nothing, I couldn't find my phone just now and came out to look for it. I denied it immediately and quickly came up with an excuse. Then I looked around, pretending to be searching for my phone. Oh God, I absolutely could not let him see what I was thinking. So, to make it more convincing, I proactively asked, did you see it? He didn't speak. He just glanced at my hand, then raised an eyebrow slightly. Huh? I followed his gaze down. Damn it. My phone was in my hand. Oh, well, it's nothing then. I'm going to bed. Good night. I chuckled dryly, then turned around calmly. The next second, I stamped my foot and silently shook my head furiously. Chloe Miller, what is wrong with you? Are you craving a man's body? Huh? Back in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, thinking about everything that had happened today. Later, staring at the ceiling, I finally managed to drift off to sleep. But I had a nightmare. In the dream, I was being chased and killed, running and screaming. Then, as I ran, I was pulled into a warm embrace. I looked up. It was Ethan Vance. The feeling of fear made me tightly wrap my arms around his lean waist. Then, the scene immediately shifted. We were in bed again. As if the terrifying scene that had just occurred hadn't existed. I was about to let go. Suddenly, I realized how amazing the feel of his firm, muscular body was in my hands. I was a little reluctant to let go. It was just a dream anyway. Thinking this, I not only didn't let go, but boldly ran my hands from his waist up to his chest, exploring a couple of times. He was warm, hard. The sensation felt so real. But before I could get too carried away, I was restrained. Damn it. Even in my dream, things weren't going my way. The next second, I draped my leg over Ethan Vance's waist and burrowed further into him. Then, he lifted me and moved me to the side. He knew how to provoke my desire to conquer. So, unwilling to give up, I turned over and burrowed into Ethan Vance's arms again. At the same time, I rubbed my head against his chest. Suddenly, I felt his whole body stiffen. But he didn't stop me this time. But then I heard him call my name softly, his voice slightly hoarse, in my ear. Over and over. Ah. So noisy. I finally opened my eyes, unwillingly. But the sight before me left me stunned for a moment. The first thing that came into view was his sexy Adam's apple. Below that was the collar of his pajamas, pushed open by my rubbing, revealing a large area of his firm chest. At the same time, Ethan Vance's low voice came from above my head. You're awake? My mind cleared, and I was completely awake. So it hadn't been a dream just now. It was real. Then I instinctively went to push him away. But as soon as my hand moved, I thought of another problem. How was I going to explain my actions just now? Doing that to him even in my dream? No way. Not. So, in those few critical seconds, I closed my eyes and mumbled as I turned over. Then I moved my hands and feet away from Ethan Vance, slowly inching towards my side of the bed. In the dark, I heard Ethan Vance let out a soft, non-committal chuckle from his nose. I didn't care. I put on a brave face / forced myself to keep pretending. In the end, I fell asleep while pretending. When I woke up the next morning, I was crazy. Because I was draped all over Ethan Vance again. Did you sleep well last night? Ethan Vance was resting his head on one arm, looking down at me in his embrace. When did you get here? Weren't you in the guest room last night? I quickly pulled my hands and legs back, startled, and pretended to be stupid, shifting the blame. You don't remember? He looked at me slowly, with an expression that saw right through me. For a moment, my heart was tense. But then I thought, as long as I don't admit it, what can he do? I pretended not to understand, blinking. What are you talking about? I slept very well last night. He said, and nodded. Good, as long as you slept well. Seeing that he believed me, I immediately felt relieved. Just when I thought the matter was over, I heard him speak again. But it's okay. It doesn't matter if you forgot. The internet has memory. Huh? Then, I saw him take out his phone from somewhere. His long fingers tapped on the screen. A bad feeling suddenly rose in my heart. What was he doing? He didn't record it, did he? Just as the video was about to play, I didn't care about anything else, snatched his phone, and shouted angrily at him. Why were you recording? Before he could say anything, the next second, Ethan Vance's sister, Emma Vance, came from the screen. Recording? What recording? I looked down, caught off guard, and met the eyes of Emma Vance, who was watching the drama on the screen. Why was it a video call? Don't worry, Chloe, I didn't hear anything. Me? No, Emma Vance, you misunderstood. I was wondering why Ethan wasn't answering his phone earlier. What did she mean? Did I accidentally hit answer when I snatched it? Okay, you guys go ahead. Dad just wanted me to ask when you're coming home for dinner. Alright, I've delivered the message. Hanging up now. She spoke like a machine gun. I didn't even get a word in to explain before she hung up. I turned to face the culprit. Ethan Vance, however, acted like nothing had happened, a faint smile on his lips, leaning back lazily and watching me. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. I threw the phone back at him and was about to get out of bed. But he unexpectedly pulled me back. What do you want? I glared at him plaintively / resentfully. He leaned over me, pinning me down in a position of complete dominance. Morning light filtered through the curtain, falling on his profile, softening the sharp lines of his features. Okay, don't be angry. I wasn't recording. He tucked my messy hair behind my ear, then pinched my earlobe, his eyes full of laughter as he looked at me. Half of my body instantly went numb. So annoying. Ethan Vance, when he was gentle, was completely irresistible. With him like this, I had been a little upset, but now I couldn't even be angry. In the end, I just gave a few mock huffs. Get ready, I'll take you out for breakfast. He ruffled my hair again, supporting himself on the bed to sit up. It was then that I noticed the dark circles under his eyes. Thinking that it was indeed because of my terrible sleeping habits, I couldn't help but feel a little guilty. I pulled at his sleeve. Ethan Vance, do you want to sleep a little longer? He paused in the action of straightening his collar, looked at me still lying in bed, and said with a smile, What, finally feeling guilty? Who's feeling guilty? I retorted, blushing, like a cat whose tail had been ste. Head on. I just saw you didn't sleep well and felt sorry for you. He smoothed his shirt cuff and said casually, Oh, and whose fault do you think that is? His voice held a faint smile. Hey. I sat up, pulling the blanket / duvet around me, and commanded, Come here for a second. He was non-committal. He bent down while tying his tie. What is it? I grabbed his tie and pulled him down. He was caught off guard and ended up supporting himself on either side of me. I'll tie your tie for you. And after I tie your tie, you're not allowed to say anything about me anymore, got it? I said, skillfully tying a knot, my tone bossy as I negotiated with him. He didn't speak. I looked up in confusion and saw his eyes staring directly at me. My heart skipped a beat. As a result, I didn't control the strength in my hand, and the silk tie tightened. Hiss. Ethan Vance frowned. I'm sorry. I quickly fumbled to loosen the knot. Are you okay? I was in a hurry to untie it, and in the process, I couldn't help but touch his Adam's apple. He closed his eyes. When I accidentally touched him again, he suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed my hand. He stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. On purpose? A faint smile played on his lips, but his eyes were sharp and deep, completely different from before. I panicked for a moment but managed to stay calm. Who did it on purpose? Explain yourself. I was trying to be nice. My voice trailed off at the end. He remained silent, just lowering his gaze. I followed his gaze slowly down. Then I realized the collar of my pajamas was wide open, barely covering anything. I swear. I immediately grabbed my clothes with both hands. Don't look. Blushing, I quickly and awkwardly adjusted my clothes. As I was hurrying to button up, suddenly, my chin was gently lifted. Ethan Vance stared into my eyes and said softly, "What time is your shoot today?" His gaze was too intense, too burning. My heart didn't help but tremble slightly. I answered instinctively. Afternoon, 3. He didn't say anything else. His handsome face just kept slowly getting closer to mine. Realizing what was happening, my heart pounded uncontrollably. I unconsciously gripped the bed sheet. But when he was only a few centimeters away, he suddenly stopped. "Is this okay?" He leaned his forehead against mine and whispered. There was something about his voice in certain moments that had a magical, bewitching power. I couldn't answer. With my hands, I hooked his neck and actively kissed him. I fell asleep again. Later, I was woken up by voices outside. "Ethan Vance, apart from being pretty, how is Chloe Miller better than me?" It was Celeste Hayes' voice. "You're going to forget our years of friendship just for her? You're kicking me out yourself? How can I ever show my face in this industry again?" she questioned, unable to believe it. Ethan Vance cut her off directly, his tone dismissive. "You know she's prettier than you, so where do you get the confidence to compare yourself to her? And who gave you the illusion that we had any relationship other than being classmates? Or did you think living in my house meant you were part of the family?" Celeste Hayes was still unwilling to give up, biting her lip. "But you saw it too, Chloe Miller and that other man." Ethan Vance interrupted her again, saying coldly, "Chloe Miller is my wife. So are you challenging me now, Celeste Hayes? Or do you think your Aunt Wu can protect you, giving you the nerve to go after Chloe Miller like this?" Celeste Hayes panicked, murmuring, "No." Ethan Vance's tone softened, adding gently but cruelly, "Oh, by the way, there's something else. If the public found out that a screenwriter, instead of doing her job, drugged a male co-star and spread nasty rumors about a female co-star, what kind of consequences do you think she would face?" Finally, Celeste Hayes ran away crying. Tioch. It was the first time I had ever heard Ethan Vance retort to someone like that. Because even when we argued yesterday, he hadn't spoken harshly to me. So that's how powerful he was. And he even said I was pretty just now. Haha. I felt a little happy. "You're awake? What are you grinning about?" He walked over. "Who's grinning?" I immediately straightened my lips. I suddenly remembered something. Since you don't like Celeste Hayes, why did you call her?" "You never called me once in those few days," I said, feeling wronged. "When did I call her?" He was startled, then chuckled. It seemed Celeste Hayes had done it on purpose again. "Forget it. Anyway, you're not nice to me," I said, pulling the blanket/duvet up higher and muttering softly. "I was just being stubborn." Unexpectedly, he heard me. He stood with his hands in his pockets, looking down at me and smiling. "When was I not nice to you? Wasn't I good to you?" He paused deliberately, implying something. My face immediately turned red, but I still wouldn't give up the argument. "You call this good? Your definition of good is a little shallow, Mr. Vance." "Oh? It seems I haven't tried hard enough to satisfy the princess." He narrowed his eyes, looking like he was about to take off his wristwatch/watch. I immediately sensed danger. I shot up, wrapping myself in the blanket/duvet. "I have to film this afternoon." "Don't." I reached out to stop him, adamantly refusing. He remained unmoved. He just smoothed down the sleeve he had rolled up, adjusted it, and then looked up at me slightly. "I'm just adjusting my clothes. What were you thinking?" His smile was familiar and playful. He was so annoying. By the time I finished getting ready and came out of the room, it was already 1 in the afternoon. Ethan Vance and I had just gotten out of the elevator. Unexpectedly, we ran into Isabel Roberts head-on. "Mr. Vance." She greeted him politely. But when she saw me, she pretended not to notice me and subtly rolled her eyes. Thinking about what she had said before, I suddenly felt amused. Ethan Vance had been standing side by side with me, a certain distance between us. I deliberately walked over and linked my arm through his. Ethan Vance turned his head to look at me, raising an eyebrow in surprise. I ignored him. I rested my head on his shoulder and said in a soft voice, "Mr. Vance, won't it be bad if your wife finds out about us? Is she home tonight? I want to come to your place to find you." At my words, Isabel Roberts looked up sharply, her mouth slightly open, her pupils dilated in shock. I smirked at her triumphantly. Seeing that I had achieved my goal, I tugged at Ethan Vance's arm, wanting to leave quickly. I didn't want him to expose me later. Unexpectedly, he wrapped an arm around my shoulder and pulled me into his embrace, saying casually, "Why worry about her? Wouldn't it be more exciting if she were home? Why were you improvising?" I seized the opportunity to glance at Isabel Roberts. Her jaw was practically on the floor. Just before the elevator doors closed, I turned back and gave her a blatant wink. Isabel Roberts's face was already beet red, looking like she wanted to curse but had to hold back. Secretly thrilled. "Happy now?" Ethan Vance asked indifferently, glancing at me. I turned my head, unable to hide the joy on my face. "Yeah, happy. So you like this kind of thing? We can try it next time." He nodded. Before I could wipe the smile off my face, I suddenly turned my head, let go of him, and quickly walked ahead. After only a couple of steps, I heard a lazy chuckle from behind me. After Ethan Vance went back, my filming pace here accelerated. Apart from Celeste Hayes leaving after only a few days, no one else on the film set knew about what had happened that night. They just thought it was normal staff turnover. But in reality, Ethan Vance had effectively blacklisted her in the industry. Now, very few projects were willing to hire her. It pretty much blocked off her career path. Noah Jenkins was mostly fine. Shawan and Noah Jenkins's assistant had taken him to the hospital promptly. However, he kept apologizing profusely whenever he saw me later, which made things a little awkward between us. But it wasn't his fault, so in the end, I was the one who talked to him and helped him move past it. As for Isabel Roberts, she had been much more well-behaved since then. Maybe she was afraid I would speak against her to Ethan Vance, but her role wasn't that big to begin with. She had already finished filming and left last month. Counting the days, this movie has been filming for about 3 months now. Meanwhile, Ethan Vance and I hadn't seen each other much since that last time, because the filming required constantly going to different locations for exterior shots, and Ethan Vance had been busy with a merger acquisition. However, Ethan Vance called me every day. Sometimes, if he was really busy, he would also send me a message on the messaging app to let me know. "Chloe, you seem like you're in love." Lily took a big gulp of her milk tea. I propped my chin on my hand, staring at the message on my phone, absently brushing her off. "Look at you. Every day, besides filming, you're glued to your phone chatting. And then you start staring at the screen and smiling. Like right now, your mouth is about to turn up to the sky. Is it?" I immediately straightened my lips. I opened the phone's camera and practiced controlling my facial expressions in the mirror. Lily watched me silently from the side, looking thoughtful. "But Chloe, does Mr. Vance know about you like this?" "Yeah, he knows." I adjusted my hair in the camera again. Since that incident, although it wasn't explicitly stated, I felt that Ethan Vance liked me too. Lily sighed. "But Chloe, is that okay? After all, you and Mr. Vance are married. Ting like this. Huh? Wait. What are you talking about, my dear assistant? Is there a possibility that the person I'm chatting with all day is Ethan Vance?" I reminded her. Lily's eyes widened. "Mr. Vance? But you didn't like him at all, did you? When you got married, you even asked me to do a background check, and you only agreed to marry him because you knew he liked someone else." Speaking of which, I couldn't help but want to complain about her. "Don't even talk about it. What kind of background check did you do? It was all wrong. Celeste Hayes had nothing to do with Ethan Vance." "Huh? I just saw what the marketing accounts on Twitter were saying. I even spent $50 to join a gossip group chat for it." Lily scratched her head. Me? How could I have trusted her with something so important? While I was deep in thought, my phone rang. It was Ethan Vance. "When are you free? I'll take you to meet my childhood friend. He's also the director of Elegant Collection. Team was known for producing several well-received dramas. The project had been filed months ago and had announced they were casting actors. I hadn't expected Ethan Vance to have this connection with the director. It would certainly be great if I could get a role. However, no need. I don't want people to think I got the role through connections. I want to rely on myself." Okay. A few more days passed. My filming was about a week away from wrapping up. I had just finished a scene and was about to remove my makeup and go back to rest. Suddenly, Lily rushed over with her phone, looking frantic. "Bad news, Chloe. The news about your secret marriage has been leaked online." "What?" I stopped in my tracks. And then everyone followed the clues. Lily peeked at me. "And found out about Mr. Vance. They're saying this movie role was given to you by Mr. Vance, specifically pushing out Fan Chi, who had worked hard to get the part." Fan Chi was a low-key, diligent actress with good acting skills. Since her debut, she had been grounded and honest, never engaging in slander. Therefore, she had a large base of casual observers slash the general public online. But how did things suddenly become like this? I opened my phone in a panic and looked at the comments online. Without exception, they were all critical. She's really secretly married? Those people who defended her got slapped in the face. By the way, that gossip last time was quite intriguing. Ha ha ha, the #1 celebrity in the domestic entertainment industry to betraying fans. Amazing. Teaming up with her husband for bullying. Fanchi is so pathetic. I heard Chloe Miller and her husband's families are prominent families, so what is this? Rich people bullying those with no power or influence, I guess. As I was frantically looking through the comments, Ethan Vance called. Don't be afraid. I'll handle it. But what they're saying is true. Didn't you give me this opportunity? I gripped my clothes tightly, biting my lip, a little incoherent. No, this is your own hard work. It has nothing to do with me. Also, don't go online for the next couple of days. Wait for my news. His calm voice slightly soothed me. Lily timely said, Sarah just called and said she's already trying to suppress it. Chloe, let's go back to the room first. Back in the room, my heart was still uneasy, and I couldn't sit still. Finally, I couldn't help but go online. As soon as I opened my phone, I saw a message from the director. Chloe Miller, I chose you for this role because you were suitable for it, not because of what's being said online. Mr. Vance didn't invest in this project initially. He only added investment after he knew it was you. You are very hardworking and excellent. Through working with you these past few days, I found that you have a lot of talent in acting, so don't let the online comments affect you. I hadn't cried looking at the negative comments from netizens earlier, but seeing these words, my tears suddenly fell. Honestly, when I first learned that I might have gotten the role because of Ethan Vance, I felt very guilty, afraid that I was unworthy of the position, afraid of implicating the director. So sometimes, after finishing my scenes each day, I wouldn't leave immediately. Instead, I would stay and observe how others acted, and discuss my understanding of the role with the director. My script was almost worn out from being read so much. To better embody the character, I practiced my expressions and lines repeatedly in front of the mirror. Now, I had received the director's recognition, and I was very happy, but I hadn't expected it to be in this way. The director sent me another link. I clicked it. It was the audition video of me and Fan Chi. He explained the role I played on his Twitter and the reasons why I was suitable for the character. The text also praised Fan Chi at the end, saying she was a good actress but not suitable for this film. But netizens completely dismissed it. Ugh, I actually thought the director was a breath of fresh air in the industry. Turns out he also bowed down to interests. LOL, I'm not watching this film when it comes out. I really feel sorry for my Chi-Chi, it's so unlucky for her to encounter this couple. Laughing my ass off, just look at her acting. Can she handle such an important role? Director, you're ruining your reputation, you know that? The director's explanation not only failed to salvage the situation but also dragged himself down. I felt very guilty. I quickly reposted the director's link and explained, hoping everyone could view the matter rationally. I would give them an explanation and hoped they would stop attacking innocent people. Less than a minute after posting, the comments surged. Okay, fine, if we're not allowed to curse the director, then we'll curse you. Birds of a feather, stop pretending. Who should the people whose spots were taken by you complain to? Now you know how terrible online bullying is? Serves you right. Add me to the list above, I want to be one of those snowflakes. I knew that without concrete evidence, anything I said would be seen as an excuse by others. But I couldn't help but feel upset seeing the people who helped me get dragged into this. I spent the entire afternoon holed up in my room. Ethan Vance told me not to look at my phone, but I couldn't help but care completely. I would open my phone occasionally, then fall into endless anxiety and worry. Unexpectedly, it wasn't over yet. That night, Fanchi also posted on Twitter, laughing at life, for simple words. But they escalated the public opinion to a fierce rivalry slash constant conflict again. Chi, blink if you're being held hostage. So angry. I really hate these people who get roles through connections. If it hadn't been exposed, who knows how much more dirt is hiding in the corners. So when will good actors get their time to shine? This incident reminds me of my college roommate. She studied hard for 4 years, but her spot for graduate school was snatched away by someone with connections who appeared out of nowhere. Even at Director Miller's level, this happens. All I want to say is, the domestic entertainment industry is truly finished. Trash movie, trash director, trash actor. I'm boycotting it officially. It's disgusting. Anyway, I won't be watching. Scrolling down, the comment section was filled with curses and a unanimous wave of red boycotts. My fans' comments supporting me were long buried underneath. This was no longer just the usual small skirmishes of publicity stunts / trying to create buzz. It had escalated directly into a challenge to ordinary people's sense of fairness and justice, and the exploitation and suppression of the lower classes by the top powerful families. I ruffled my hair. I didn't know who was behind this, but it was certainly brilliant. Netizens' anger was ignited to its peak. Sarah contacted Fan Chi. She said it didn't mean anything, just a normal tweet. Also, Mr. Vance's company stock hit the lower limit today. I paused, wanting to call him, but then I thought he must be incredibly busy right now. I closed my eyes, sat on the sofa for a while, then got up and went to the bathroom to remove my makeup. After coming out, I snuggled on the sofa and focused on reading my script. Chloe, you can still read the script at a critical moment like this? Lily's eyes widened. I hummed softly, trying to steady my trembling voice. I have a clear conscience. If I fall into despair over this and netizens find out my acting is really bad, won't they have even more reason to mock me? After the day's events, I had suddenly figured something out. Worrying pointlessly / self-defeating worry was useless. Only by proving them wrong with my skills would those who looked down on me truly shut up. I circled a word with my pen, my head down. I just want to take every role seriously. There are millions of netizens, I can't control what they say. The most important thing is to do my best right now. At 10 p.m., Vance Group issued a statement. They released the film's casting and investment timeline. The evidence directly refuted the claim that I got the role because of Ethan Vance's connections. Public opinion shifted slightly, but the dissenting voices still dominated. But that doesn't rule out the possibility that the director cast Chloe Miller because of Mr. Vance's connections, right? Exactly. Do they think netizens are stupid? It's well known that celebrity statements have no credibility these days. What are you arguing about? You'll know when the movie comes out, won't you? Smirking emoji. Speaking of which, even though Chloe Miller came from romance dramas, her acting is actually pretty good, right? A little while later, Ethan Vance C. Aled. I'm already investigating the source. It might take a few more days. His voice was mixed with the noisy crowd on his end. Turn off your phone. Focus on filming, he instructed again, clearly worried. I know. This is nothing to me. I've been through similar things before. Just a minor issue / nothing I haven't handled before. Don't worry about me, I said, trying to sound relaxed. He was silent for a moment, then said softly, I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I was confused. He didn't explain further. He hung up, and I read the script for a bit before going to sleep. 3 days later, my filming successfully wrapped up. Ethan Vance said he would come pick me up. But unexpectedly, after packing my things and stepping out of the film set, someone threw a bloody dead mouse at me. I screamed in fright. Lily quickly shielded me. Aren't you despicable? You have a husband and you're still trying to seduce Arnoa Jenkins? Arnoa Jenkins is going to be dragged down by you. Lily had only briefly told me about the situation over the past few days to keep me focused. The person behind this, seeing the hype dying down, had leaked the information about Noah Jenkins. Since he was a top star, his fans were very aggressive / very dedicated, and Sarah had warned me to be careful. But I hadn't expected the fans to be this crazy. Just as eggs were about to be thrown, Ethan Vance pulled me behind him. Shawn pointed his camera at them. Keep throwing. What are you afraid of? We'll make you trend, let everyone see what you're really like. When something happens, you attack a fellow actress. Why don't you go ask your Noah Jenkins for the truth? Lily had quickly explained that Noah Jenkins hadn't responded yet, so the fans had directed their anger at me. They covered their faces, backing away while cursing and running off. After getting into the car, Shawn apologized proactively. Miss Chloe, I'm sorry. It was my oversight last time that I didn't handle it properly. But we've now confirmed that Celeste Hayes was the mastermind. We have the relevant surveillance footage and witness testimonies. We've already notified the PR department, and public opinion should turn around quickly. I frowned. Why was it Celeste Hayes again? Ethan Vance put his arm around me and said calmly, contact Noah Jenkins. We can handle it together with their side. It might have a double effect. The car quickly arrived home. As soon as we entered, Ethan Vance pulled me into his arms, resting his chin on my shoulder. I'm sorry. Because of me, you've been under public scrutiny these past few days. He stroked my hair, his voice full of guilt. I hugged his lean waist back and shook my head. It's not your fault. You must be exhausted these past few days too. My boss, after finding out about Ethan Vance and me, had completely checked out and become a hands-off boss. Apart from hiring some trolls/manipulate online comments, he didn't interfere with my matters at all. He buried his face in my neck, his voice muffled. I'm not tired. I'm just sorry. This was the second time he had said sorry today. But what did this have to do with him? You can never guess what's on a villain's mind. Just because you responded to her malicious acts with punishment before, and now he was blaming himself for the more serious mistakes she had made? I let go of Ethan Vance, stood on tiptoes, covered his eyes, which were dim with guilt, and gently kissed his lips. I missed you. I didn't want him to keep blaming himself, so I actively changed the subject. But after saying it, I felt a little shy. So I started being bossy/ordering me around again, accusing him, you didn't miss me at all, did you? Of course, you turn cold after getting into bed. Who wants to hear your apology? I want to hear you say something I like to hear. I seized the chance to boldly make a request. After saying that, my face definitely too red, but my momentum couldn't be weak. I forced myself to meet his gaze boldly. His body stiffened for a moment, his eyes dark as he looked at me. Then he suddenly picked me up, gently placed me on the entrance cabinet/hallway cabinet, and said huskily, something you like to hear? What do you like to hear me say? I thought seriously for 2 seconds, not quite sure yet. Then I heard him softly call my name, baby. His deep, magnetic voice drilled into my ear, sending shivers down my spine. My heart fluttered slightly. Actually, I hadn't thought of this. I just wanted him to praise me, but I didn't expect such an unexpected bonus. I poked his chest with my finger, a little embarrassed. Do you like it when I call you that? He took my hand, and with the other, rubbed my earlobe. My heart pounded. Before I could answer, he continued. Or do you prefer me to call you wife? He nibbled on my earlobe softly. After that, from the living room to the bathroom to the bedroom, I was too exhausted to speak. I only remembered, just before losing consciousness, Ethan Vance lightly kissed my forehead. Get a good sleep. I'll handle everything when you wake up. I slept straight through until 8 p.m. When I woke up, I found Sarah had called me more than 10 times. I quickly turned on the light, sat up, and called her back. As soon as she answered, Sarah's excited voice came through. You finally answered. Public opinion has completely turned in our favor now. It seems that Celeste Hayes posted an apology letter explaining the whole situation, which then angered Noah Jenkins's fans. Now they've attacked online/flooded with hateful comments her, ha ha ha. Oh, and the police have also gotten involved. And Isabel Roberts actually spoke up for you. The voices questioning whether you got the role through connections have also quieted down. But these won't cause any serious negative impact. Sarah was still talking, but my mind had already drifted away. So much had happened while I was sleeping. I couldn't wait to see Ethan Vance. Thinking this, I did exactly that. I quickly got out of bed, dressed, and washed up, then drove to Ethan Vance's company building. When I reached the 32nd floor, I saw Ethan Vance sitting in the center, with a group of reporters asking him questions. Mr. Vance, regarding your secret marriage with Chloe Miller, did you have the intention of facilitating resource exchange? Aren't you deceiving the public? Ethan Vance chuckled softly, adjusted the microphone. This reporter, I believe everyone has the right to privacy. On the contrary, we did this to avoid malicious judgment from outsiders. Chloe Miller, in my eyes, is a dedicated and talented actress. I hope everyone sees that her success comes from her own hard work, not from being associated with someone, whether it's me or her family. You shouldn't use these labels to easily dismiss everything she's achieved. So he knew all along. He knew what truly mattered to me. When the incident first happened, he didn't choose the forceful approach of suppressing all negative impacts. Instead, he chose to explain it to the public in this way. The reporter asked again, but as far as I know, Celeste Hayes is your stepmother's niece. Are you going to send her to prison just because of this? Aren't you considering forgiving her or giving her a lighter sentence? Ethan Vance slowly smiled. Everyone must pay the price for the mistakes they make, even if they are family members, because I am a law-abiding citizen. So, this reporter, are you teaching me to break the law in front of the whole nation? Then I must question your identity. Ethan Vance was smiling and teasing, but the reporter flinched and quickly tried to brush it off. No, Mr. Vance. I was just trying to say how much you love Chloe Miller. The reporter wiped away sweat. She is my wife. Of course his gaze swept over the crowd, and he saw me standing not far away. A faint smile played on his lips. Staring into my eyes, he said, word by word, I love her very much. At that moment, my heart felt as if it had been struck. A flutter of happiness spread throughout my body. A few months later, Isabel Roberts and I met at a charity gala. I walked over to her with a glass of champagne. "Thank you for speaking up for me back then." She rolled her eyes. "Don't thank me, I don't need it. Just don't badmouth me to Mr. Vance later." I raised an eyebrow. She was still as aggressive/very aggressive as ever. Unexpectedly, the next second, she sighed. "Forget it, you're not that kind of person anyway. I provoked you so much back then, and you didn't even attack me behind my back. Besides, you're so popular now, your fans have almost doubled. I'm completely in a state where I can't afford to provoke you. Don't bother me anymore." With that, she downed the entire glass of wine. Yes, after that incident. As badly as I was smeared back then, I was now just as popular. After the truth was revealed, I went from being the perceived bully to the most innocent person. Those anti-fans started apologizing to me one after another. And some casual observers/the general public online directly became my loyal fans. I was now considered a traffic star. "But why did you dislike me so much?" She was speechless. "Don't tell me you're here to make peace?" I teased her. "Why not? I think you're quite cute too." She was about to explode again, ready to get angry, but then she seemed to remember something and held back. After a few seconds, she said grumpily, "Don't tell me you forgot the time at that awards ceremony when you accidentally spilled a drink on my dress, which made me have to borrow a random dress and look ridiculous?" I frowned, thought for a few seconds. "I remember that incident, but I didn't do it. I remember there was someone else in the dressing room besides me." "What was her name?" "She can testify." She was startled for a second. "She was the one who told me you did it." I forgot her name. She wasn't very famous, and she was always very polite to me, and we didn't have any competition, so I didn't suspect her. Instead, back then, we were competing for the female lead role in a drama. As she spoke, she suddenly realized. "So we were both set up, huh? Using our animosity, making us fight each other, and then she." Things like this weren't uncommon in the industry. I interrupted her. "Forget about her. Now that we've cleared things up, let's make peace from now on." I extended my hand proactively. She shook my hand, though she seemed a bit uncomfortable. Her eyes darted around, and she said something trying to be funny. "Okay, I'd be happy to. I'll have to rely on Mrs. Vance for resources in the future." See? She really was quite cute when she wasn't being annoying. After the dinner party, Ethan Vance took me back to the Vance estate for dinner. At the dining table were just Ethan Vance's dad and sister. As for the stepmother who had lived in this house for over 10 years. Last time, after she found out her instigation of Celeste Hayes was exposed, she had originally backed down/ceased hostilities. But then she accidentally heard Ethan Vance's dad drafting his will, planning to leave all his assets to Ethan Vance and me. In a fit of rage, she came up with that self-defeating strategy. In the end, Ethan Vance's dad just dismissed her/sent her away with a single house. I heard she left in an undignified manner, a 50-year-old woman who looked like she had lost her mind, ranting loudly at the front gate. She was finally escorted away by security guards. Ethan Vance's dad felt very guilty towards me and insisted on transferring the shares he had originally intended for his stepmother into my name. "Dad, I'll take care of my own wife, alright?" Ethan Vance put a piece of fish in my bowl, his tone playful. I secretly ed Ethan Vance's waist under the table, warning him to behave. I still needed to maintain my image as a dignified lady. But he grabbed my hand and lightly stroked my palm with his thumb. Emma Vance said, eating her dinner, teasingly, "Dad, Chloe is already working for Ethan's company now. Who needs your shares?" Considering the benefit of keeping things within the family and Ethan Vance's persuasion, I eventually terminated my contract with my old company and set up my personal studio. But the actual controlling shareholder was Ethan Vance. At first, I was very reluctant. I didn't want to rely on him. But given that Ethan Vance always ended up solving company crises, I became too embarrassed to keep refusing. But I made a deal with him. I'd get 70% of the profits, he'd get 30%. A blatant unfair contract. He actually agreed. The final condition was that even if we divorced in the future, this studio would belong entirely to me. He agreed to all the previous unfair terms, but when I said this, he didn't say a word. He slowly took off his wristwatch/watch, sighing softly. "It seems I haven't taught Chloe Miller enough of a lesson." From then on, Ethan Vance became my official boss. Ethan Vance's dad looked visibly disappointed. I quickly smoothed things over. "It's okay, Dad. My new movie is coming out soon. You can buy out a screening/book a private showing to support me then. and I'll be very happy. Ethan Vance's dad's spirits lifted. When is the movie coming out? Probably by the end of the year. That incident had brought the movie more attention than it would have naturally received. Now everyone's eyes were on it. While a large portion of that was people waiting to see it fail. But the post-production team was working overtime to speed it up the pace, striking while the iron is hot. After dinner, Ethan Vance and I went back to our own place. As soon as the door closed, Ethan Vance said lazily from behind me, "Just to remind you, today is an important day." My steps stopped. I turned around and looked at him blankly. I had drunk a little champagne at the party, which made my head feel a bit dizzy, and my reaction was slow. What day? Was it our wedding anniversary? I thought about it carefully. No, it wasn't. He hooked his lips, walked over, leaned down, and stared into my eyes. Word by word, he said, "My birthday." Oh no. I had completely forgotten. But I rolled my eyes. Hooking my arms around his neck, I pulled him down and gave him a kiss on the lips. "Happy birthday. Can I give you your gift tomorrow?" I said in a soft voice, swaying my body slightly as I acted cute. Unexpectedly, Ethan Vance, who was usually easygoing, refused me. "No. You only have one birthday each year." I was about to say something else. He smiled and added, "But it's okay. I prepared it for you." My gut told me something wasn't right. Sure enough, when I saw the clothes he handed me, my face instantly turned bright red. I wanted to refuse, but then I remembered it was his birthday. "Ethan Vance, can we pick something else?" I coaxed him. This was way too embarrassing. "What did you call me?" He played with a strand of my hair. I went along with it. "Husband." His eyes darkened for a moment, then he chuckled again. "Although I really like it when you call me that, I want to hear you call me something else today." Something else? As I was thinking, he suddenly picked me up bridal style and walked towards the bedroom. I quickly wrapped my arms around his neck, actively admitting my mistake. "Ethan, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forgotten your birthday." "Chloe can't remember? Still wrong? Then here's a hint. What should you call me at the company?" He gently placed me on the bed and reached out to take off his tie, tossing it aside. I finally understood what he meant. He was really perverse. "Ethan Vance," I pretended not to understand. "You don't want to call me that?" His thumb gently brushed my lips. Then his hand slowly moved down. He knew how to make me willingly submit. In the end, I not only gave in but also said many things I wouldn't normally say, blushing the whole time. I'm 29, a year later, looking up, lived up to expectations. I also won the Best Supporting Actress award for this film. At the awards ceremony, the host asked who I wanted to thank the most. The camera crew knows how to frame a shot. Just as I tilted my head, thinking for 2 seconds, the camera cut to Ethan Vance. He was smiling at me. It seemed everyone expected me to thank him. I leaned slightly forward, lowering the microphone, and smiled slyly. "The person I want to thank the most is my dad." Ethan Vance's expression didn't change in the high-definition shot. His smile remained. The director was a little awkward, about to cut away. I continued, unhurriedly. "If he hadn't insisted on me meeting Ethan Vance, I wouldn't have fallen in love with him at first sight, wouldn't have met such a wonderful husband, and wouldn't have the unique story that belongs to us." At my words, the entire audience was in an uproar. Then, applause began to trickle in. Ethan Vance and I looked at each other across the crowd, shamelessly/boldly. I happily raised an eyebrow at him, and he looked at me with a doting smile. I suddenly remembered a year ago, a similar situation. I stood below, watching him hold a press conference alone, debating against the crowd/argued effectively against the critics for me. And now, he sat in the audience, watching me stand on the award stage, receiving flowers and applause. Time flies. Amidst the crowd, our love will eventually cross the distance and reach each other.